Here we are back again with another edition of Let's Play WCCW 2020. WCCW was not around in the 20s, nor were they around in the 2000s, which is what I was insinuating by saying 20. We need for this Let's Play, we gotta go back in the wrestling time machine to 1983, specifically Dallas, Texas, for this edition of World Class Championship Wrestling Television. So we got a big event tonight as both... Come on, type. There we go. As the Freebirds will be competing in their first match since the pay-per-view. And the Von Erich and the Yellow Rose of Texas, to be specific, will be in action tonight as David Von Erich takes on Killer Tim Brooks. And I will also say this, that next week I can guarantee you that basically the reason, I can guarantee you that you will hear from David, Kerry, and Kevin next week after hearing from Buddy, Michael, and Terry this week. And by the way, the reason why Paul Jones and Iceman Parsons why I switched the matches between the Freebirds and the Jobbers and Parsons and Jones is because I don't want the Freebirds to go on right after, David to go on right after the Freebirds. Even in question, David is not, even in formatting, rather, I apologize, even in formatting, David is nowhere near the Freebirds, meaning the Freebirds can't even go in the match before the Von Erichs because, they're supposed to stay away from each other, and that's the point. I have another idea. You know what? Legend, Gary Hart, off screen, Kabuki, and this is based on acting. See, unfortunately, Jose Lothario, I believe, works for, I want to say CMLL, but I don't remember. Let's go see. Can I click here? No. Okay, gotta go here. Jose Lothario. Yeah, CMLL. Apparently, CMLL also is running an event tonight because Jose Lothario is not here. So, as a way to build the feud and do it from the El Hijo del Tejas / Jose Lothario perspective, after, Gary Hart's comments and Lothario's comments right after the pay-per-view. See, what I should have did was I should have had Jose disappear after the pay-per-view, and then this segment would have made more sense. But to fill you in, I will. I'm thinking faster than I'm talking. I will fill you in when we get to the segment when we're reviewing the show. But right now, let's just say it's my way of keeping the feud going without having Jose here. No, this is how the show should go. So, the week after debuting in or returning. I am not sure. I don't know if Dickie had been here before, but Dickie Murdoch shows up here for this week's starts off this week's edition of World Class Television with Salvatore Bellomo, and pretty decisively drops Bellomo and then heads over to the interview space. And Mark Lawrence mentions Bruiser Brody and what happened and the interaction between these two men last week on World Class Championship Wrestling, as Dickie accepted Bruiser Brody's open challenge for the big event in the month of February, which means Dickie Murdoch will go up against Bruiser Brody in about a week at the big event to end this month. And right now, that, my friends, is the only match set for the big event this month. But we still have this week and the rest of next week's show to find to set more matches up for this month's big event. But either way, Dick Murdoch talks like only Dick Murdoch can. And Dick Murdoch says how he's going to give Bruiser Brody the true meaning of a Texas beatdown. And he's going to make Bruiser regret issuing that open challenge. And now we head to the first match for the Freebirds since the big event of last month, as the Freebirds go up against Barry Orton and Frank Dusek. Barry Orton is making his world-class debut, just like Salvatore Bellomo in the match before, but either way, Terry Gordy and Michael Hayes quickly dispatch the two youngsters, I guess you could say. And Terry Gordy steals the show with a 91 in-ring performance. My God. And he's only, 22, 23? Jeez. That's incredible. And now we move with... See, I know for the most part back in the 1980s, nobody cut promos without an interviewer. But these three are special. These three are special for one reason and one reason only. That flag they wear on their back. That this wasn't a feud between the Freebirds and the Von Erichs. This was a feud between Atlanta and Dallas. This was a feud between Georgia and Texas. The Freebirds represented the East, and the Von Erichs were Texas. Also, I could have had Fritz tell the interviewer, No. The Freebirds are doing their own interviews. I don't want you standing in a ring with those rap stallions. I don't want you standing in the ring with those gutless cowards. They want to have an interview. They want to talk. Ask for a mic and we'll give it to them. But other than that, they ain't talking with one of my interviewers. Because Fritz promoted the company. And everybody knew Fritz ran the show. And how would you feel if one of your boys got screwed out of a world title by one of these three guys? You see, I would also have them cut their own promo, meaning hold their own mic, because, number one, they don't need help to rile up a crowd. And number two, it makes them unique. if they're the only ones holding the microphone by themselves and cutting their own promo and being their own interviewer, it makes them unique. It makes them different, and it makes the people remember the Freebirds promos because they aren't like everyone else's. Changing things up just a little bit, helps people be remembered. And there is a logical reason behind it. Yes, it would have been more logical to have one of the Freebirds intimidate the interviewer. Or I could just have Michael Hayes say, "We don't want anybody from this cesspool of a state holding a microphone in front of our face and asking us useless, biased questions, so we're gonna talk by ourselves. Because we're in this for ourselves." And as far as I'm concerned, that should give him more heat. But, whatever. I mean, the feud only started in December between the Freebirds and the Von Erichs. So it's in the very, very, very early stages. So you don't want to give too much away right away. And that's why I can guarantee you this. You will not be seeing a 6-man tag team match between the Freebirds and the Von Erichs in February. And you will likely not be seeing a 6-man tag team match between the three of them in March either. Why? There is so many other variations that I can do that I want to have the 6-man tag team match be one of the last variations that I do. I want to have it be one of the last variations. But I can tell you this, I know the blow-off already, and the blow-off match will not happen until this feud is set to blow off. And I will say that it's very likely that this feud will not blow off until December Star Wars. Until December's Christmas Star Wars, which would be 1 year to the date that the feud started. Because I think I can get a year out of this feud, but I don't think I can get much more. And you don't want to milk it for too long. You know what? Let me get back to this, and let me get back to the show and finish what I was saying at the end of the show, so we don't take too long. So, moving off the Freebirds and the Von Erichs, even though I could probably talk about that feud for an entire video, we got other matches to get to, including Iceman Parsons up against Paul Jones, and Parsons wins against Paul Jones via disqualification. Why did I do disqualification? Well, 2 reasons. One, I wanted to protect Paul Jones, because I don't like how I keep making my heels lose clean every single match. And also, number 2, that means I could revisit this, because if you forgot, Iceman Parsons is the NWA Brass Knuckles champion, which means down the road, if I keep the belt on Parsons for a while, this could lead to some sort of a feud or a short program or even just a match between him and Paul Jones for the title, if I need it. So it's basically planting the seeds for possibly a future program. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this was basically my way of continuing the feud without having Jose here, because Jose is working in CMLL tonight. So El Hijo Del Tejas, the story goes like this. Del Tejas hasn't seen Jose Lothario for the last 2 weeks, since he cut the promo on World Class Television saying that he wants to get one more shot for Del Tejas against Kabuki this month at the big event. And Gary Hart said no, would go on to say no, because Kabuki has nothing to prove to you. And since then, none of us have seen Jose Lothario, and also, you folks at home watching this episode of TV, you don't know that Lothario's in Mexico. And especially seeing this, you're thinking Lothario's done. You're thinking Lothario's not coming back. You're thinking Lothario's he's given up on his managerial career. He's gone. Why? Because he failed in his first big chance. So now El Hijo de Texas is trying to find Jose and is looking around for Lothario to try and get him to come back and manage him again and help him become the superstar that he knows he can be and that he brought him to World Class to be, and not let Kabuki and Gary Hart win. But before the end of this, of course, pre-recorded video, Del Tejas does not find Jose Lothario. And also, I just want to mention this. Del Tejas does not talk at all in this segment. He's holding a... Excuse me. In this segment, he's holding a picture of Lothario and showing it to everyone. With like it's like a wanted poster almost. Like he holds up the picture, and all he's hearing people say is no, no. The reason why Del Tejas is not talking is twofold. One, it would give away his identity because he has a very distinctive voice. And two, it's his gimmick. His gimmick is not to talk. And that's why Lothario's his manager. Because he's not supposed to talk, and Lothario's supposed to do all the talking for him. So there you go. And that's why I gave him the picture and told him, go find Lothario. Yes, in no uncertain terms, you will eventually find out who El Hijo de Texas is, but that's ways down the road. But either way, I'm talking about the future. We gotta focus on the now, because David Von Erich and Killer Tim Brooks put on a very solid match in the main event, as David Von Erich gets the victory over Killer Tim Brooks to close this episode of World Class Television. And we end off with a 66 final rating and increasing our popularity in 10 regions. My God, we're doing so well. The reason why I'm so surprised is because I have tried this type of season before with World Class in one of my personal seasons, and it's never really worked. But I mean, look at this. 10 increased our popularity in 10 regions and a final rating of a 66. I don't think we've lost popularity on a show, and if we have, it was just one show. It's been a fantastic run thus far, and we're just getting started. And the only other thing I wanted to say about the Freebirds and the Von Erichs is, I know that this feud can go for the entire year of 1983, but I think having it go for any longer than that would be overkill. And you don't want to kill off a money-making feud like the one between your top babyfaces and the guys that are supposed to be your top heels. But I will say this, that by the end of the feud, the Von Erichs will have people to feud with, and the Freebirds will have people to feud with. And I'm also saying that I could be lying. I could be lying that I could mix up the feud or add a stipulation to where the feud keeps going into 1984, but it would not go all of 1984. It would go maybe into the spring of 1984 and then finish then. And then finish then. But the fact of the matter is, I can guarantee you it will not go for as long as it did in real life, and that's one of the reasons why I started in 1983, because I wanted to I wanted to show each and every one, I wanted to show you guys how I would have booked the Freebirds versus the Von Erichs feud, and even maybe how I would have undone mistakes that may have been made in this time building up to the end. Because the end of the Freebirds and the Von Erichs feud was pretty much the end of World Class. I mean, yes, all the, deaths and the unfortunate tragedies did not help, but, once again, I could go an entire video just talking about World Class Championship Wrestling and what originally took place and what really happened in World Class, going over some of the old feuds and going over some of the big moments in World Class. Let me know down, including the Freebirds versus the Von Erichs feud like I mentioned before. You know what? Let me know down in the comment section below if you'd like me to go over, if you'd like me to do a World Class video. And I'm not talking about one with James Beard. I wouldn't care about doing one with James Beard. If you'd like to see that, let me know down below if you'd like to see that. Also, but if you'd like to see where it's just me talking about World Class Championship Wrestling, feel free to let me know in the comment section below, because I want to hear from you what you want to see, especially now that we are slowly but surely approaching the new year. 2017 is right around the corner, so I want to know what you guys want to see in the new year. But if you don't want to leave a comment, you can always leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this that you can only find right here at Wrestling Express. Till next time. Later.